Hey there! Today, we're going to dig into the story of the energy that pretty much powers our entire world. Now, I want you to think about it like this. We've basically inherited this incredible treasure, something that's been buried deep inside the earth for millions and millions of years. And this treasure, we call it fossil fuels. So let's crack open this treasure chest and see what's inside. But right off the bat, we've got to ask the big question. Can this last forever? I mean, can we just keep using this inheritance, taking and taking from the earth, without any consequences? It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer, well, the answer is super complex, and it affects every single one of us. To really get our heads around this, let's try a little thought experiment that our source material calls the popcorn test. So picture a giant bowl of popcorn. That bowl is all the oil, all the coal on planet Earth. Now, the first generation comes along and they take as much as they want. Then the second generation gets their turn, taking from whatever's left. So by the time the third generation shows up to the party, what do you think they're going to find? Yeah, this simple idea really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Okay, so before we dig any deeper into this treasure, we really need to understand that our planet holds two very, very different kinds of resources. You've got the ones that basically last forever, and the ones that, well, just like that popcorn, can actually run out. It all kind of boils down to two main buckets. In one bucket, you've got your inexhaustible resources. Think sunlight, think air. For all intents and purposes, they're unlimited. We're not going to run out of sunshine. But in the other bucket, you have the exhaustible ones. Things like forests, minerals, and, super important for us today, coal. There's only a limited amount of this stuff, and we can absolutely use it all up. And that second bucket, the one that can run out, that's exactly where we find the stars of our show today. Fossil fuels. You know, the name really says it all. They are fuels like coal, petroleum, and natural gas that were formed from the dead remains, the actual fossils of living things that died millions of years ago. So how in the world does a dead plant or some ancient sea creature turn into the fuel that powers a car? Well, to figure that out, we need to take a little journey way, way back in time. We're talking 300 million years ago. Let's go. The story of coal starts about 300 million years ago. Picture this. Earth is covered in these dense, swampy forests. As these giant plants and trees died, things like floods came and buried them under layers of dirt and mud. Then, for millions of years, more and more layers just piled on top, squeezing them tighter and tighter. And the deeper they got buried, the more intense the heat and pressure became, slowly, so slowly, cooking and squishing those dead plants into the hard black rock we now call coal. And this incredible slow-motion transformation from a living plant into a rock actually has a scientific name. It's called carbonization. And it makes sense, right? Because coal is mostly made of carbon, which was the main building block of all that ancient plant life. Now, petroleum and natural gas have a similar origin story, but with a twist. This time, we're not in a forest, we're in the ancient oceans. Tiny little sea creatures died, and their bodies sank down to the seabed. Over time, they got covered up with layers of sand and clay. And just like with coal, over millions of years, with no air and tons of heat and pressure, these tiny dead organisms got transformed into the liquid oil and gas we drill for today. Okay, so we've got these amazing energy sources locked away deep underground. So let's fast forward to right now. How do we take that raw material, that ancient buried treasure, and actually turn it into something we can use? Well, when we process coal, we get a lot more than just something to burn. We get this stuff called coke, which is an almost pure carbon that's absolutely essential for making steel. We also get coal tar, this thick black goo that's a key ingredient for everything from dyes and plastics to perfumes and roofing. And we get coal gas, an industrial fuel. It's way more versatile than you'd think. And then, of course, there's petroleum. And you've probably heard its other name, a name that just perfectly captures how valuable it is to us: black gold. And this is why they call it black gold. Just look at this. It's wild to think that one single barrel of crude oil gets refined and broken down into this huge range of products. We're talking everything from the gas in our cars and the fuel in jet engines, all the way to the asphalt on our roads and even the wax in candles. It is literally a treasure trove. So the last member of our fossil fuel family is natural gas. We often find it right alongside petroleum, and we store it as compressed natural gas, or CNG. Its biggest selling point? It burns cleaner than other fossil fuels, and it's super easy to transport through this massive network of pipelines directly to our homes and factories. So, we've seen where these fuels came from and all the incredible things we do with them. But now we have to circle all the way back to that first big question and really face the consequences of using them. What happens when that popcorn bowl starts to look a little empty? This number right here, this is the one that changes everything. According to our sources, this treasure that took hundreds of millions of years to create could be completely gone in just a few hundred years. Just let that sink in for a second. An entire geological era's worth of stored up energy gone in what is basically the blink of an eye. And here's the real kicker. Unlike the popcorn, we can't just go out and make more. The source material is crystal clear about this, saying their formation is a very slow process, and conditions for their formation cannot be created in the laboratory. When they're gone, they are really, truly gone for good. And the costs aren't just about the supply running out. Oh no, the very act of burning these fuels comes with a huge price tag for our planet. It's one of the biggest causes of the air pollution that chokes our cities, and it's directly linked to the warming of our entire globe. So, all of this leads us to the most important question of all. Knowing what we know, what do we do? How do we use this inheritance that we've been given wisely so that the generations that come after us aren't just left with an empty bowl? You know, the Petroleum Conservation Research Association in India has some really simple, practical tips that every single one of us can use. Things like driving at a steady, moderate speed, switching off your engine if you're stuck at a long traffic light, making sure your tires have the right amount of air in them, and just keeping your car regularly maintained. These seem like small things, but when millions of us do them, they really do add up. And that really brings us right to the end. We inherited this absolutely mind-blowing energy treasure, a gift from the deep past that was millions and millions of years in the making. So the question we all have to ask ourselves now is, after we've taken our share, what are we going to choose to leave behind for the next generation?